All right, so here we go. So thank you for the introduction, Ed. Ed and I actually go back to Toastmaster days, so that's going back quite a while. He says he forgot, that's okay. So he did mention Northwood, and I noticed it might have just been me because I'm here and I'm very aware of whenever Northwood is mentioned, but I have heard several people throughout the day mention Northwood. But if you're not from here, you're not familiar with who Northwood is, or if you are local, like Ed said, I might challenge you in how you maybe thought you knew Northwood. We were founded in 1962, which is 60 years this year, by a gentleman, Mr. Ed Roach, who responded to a community need. So it was particularly at the time around housing that there was that need. So we started as those physical buildings that you see on both Gottingen and Northwood Terrace. Since then, we've become really a community-based, not-for-profit organization, one of the largest seniors organizations in Atlantic Canada, offering both the full continuum of care with community outreach. So that's gone a long way over time to grow. And now our listing of services, we integrate both with our internal community and our external community with our Community Health and Wellness Center, which includes NWBC, our radio station. We have a fitness center, 2 fitness centers actually, as well as a health clinic. We offer Intouch, which is our technology that I work specifically with, and we offer that province-wide. We have home care to about 1,400 clients daily that we're offering home care service to within the what used to be the capital district within around the Halifax area. We have 4 adult day programs, as well as a variety of apartments, which start at fully independent and then adding on a variety of service to be supportive or assisted living. And then finally, we have long-term care. The part that I think everyone is the most familiar with because it gets the most talk in the media. It also has the physical structures that you can very easily see both in Bedford and in downtown Halifax. But like Ed said, that's really only about 10% of the clients that we work with on a daily basis are in the bricks and mortar building. We touch over 6,500 clients each day with the services that we offer in community. And so 90% of those are living in their own homes, receiving some type of service. So that may surprise some of you. Our logo and our tagline is all around live more. So we're ready to help you live more, whether that's in your own home and community or within one of our buildings and facility. Innovation has been a pillar with Northwood. So over the last 60 years, we have been innovating, introducing, and sharing interesting and inspiring new ideas and first-time concepts into the continuing care sector. So some have been mentioned today with the SMART project, talking about the technology with Novolte, where we took some off-the-shelf smart tech as well as some proprietary tech, which we put into the facility with the young gen in our assisted long-term care facility. And that tech really helped them to be living more independently. So through voice-assisted technology, those residents were able to turn on lights, turn on TV, adjust the height of their bed, turn on a fan, a lot of things that really enabled them to be much more independent. And so they really felt like they were more autonomous. We have been seen and like to be seen as that sort of living laboratory. And we do have plans to go ahead in the not too distant future. We would love to have our own innovation center, a proper center. But for right now, we can do that research within our different population groups. And we'll be highlighting some of that research actually coming up on June the 17th at our 10th annual research symposium. And I can share those details after with Ed to post. But if you're interested in learning about some of the research projects we've had going on, both within the facility of Northwood, as well as in the community, We'll also be highlighting some other projects that have been happening without the involvement of Northwood, but just within the sector that we feel really need to be brought forward and highlighted. So you can tune in for that. I am going to share a few examples of our technology when it comes to Northwood Intouch. Again, that's the area where I'm most familiar, and that's our assistive tech for people who are living in their own home. We offer a variety of equipment and services. So Intouch has been available across Nova Scotia now for 35 years. We actually started in the Halifax area with 25 units. And now over the last 35 years, we have helped thousands of families across the province, both caregivers as well as clients, to stay safe, independent, and secure. We offer help buttons, fall detectors, as well as some devices for stove safety, medication management, bed alarms. And we've also had a little bit of experience with GPS tracking. That was rather short-lived, unfortunately, because it was a newer technology. And while it had served a lot of clients very well for the year that it was in the field, unfortunately, that company was a newer company and went bankrupt. So we then had to call all of those products out of the field, which was really disappointing. We are still looking for that product that ticks all of the boxes that we know it needs to in order to help people with dementia who are concerned about someone who's wandering. Really, the intent of all of these devices, again, is to provide the client with that independence, to be able to have safety, security, and dignity, while the family have that peace of mind, knowing that if anything should happen, someone's going to get alerted. So who uses the help buttons that we offer? Really, clients of all ages who live alone or spend periods of time alone in their own home. We have majority seniors, but really it can be a wide range of ages, in particular, people with disabilities. So we have clients as young as 19 who take advantage of our services, all the way up to, we've got now 30 individuals who are over 100, with our oldest client being 105, who have this equipment in their home and who may or may not have a medical emergency. They can really use it for any reason. We also have couples who are maybe both at risk as they're aging at home, and they can use it for, again, any type of situation that they need help. So again, the system is very simple to use. We've alluded to a couple of times today that you know, there are going to be a lot more products on the market with a lot more bells and whistles. I remember talking to someone who was looking at developing a new product, and she was working with venture capitalists who really wanted all the bells and whistles on the product that she was developing, because they felt it was more bang for the client's buck. And really what she had found through her research, and I agreed and confirmed with her as well, that when we're working with certain populations of seniors, in some cases, the simpler, the better. So not necessarily whatever has the most features and different things. It really is about talking to the client, involving that group. When you're creating it. Unfortunately, the people who were wanting to provide her the money didn't really have that same understanding, unfortunately. So that was her challenge at the time. So our service is simple to use, either a press of a button or now with our automatic fall detection. The call will go through and to our response center, which is staffed 24/7. And we send the help that's required.
Down into smaller chunks, and we'll share it with you.
I'm hearing someone else talk. I don't know if anyone else can.
You're telling her that.
Oh, there we go. All right. So some of the additional sensors that we've started to offer now, in addition to the help button, so that's where we began, we have devices that can help to turn the stove off should someone forget. So it can be programmed in multiple ways, attached to the stove, so that when the stove is turned on, this device will turn on automatically. And if the user forgets and the timer that's preset times out, then it will turn the stove off. There are other ways where it can be set to have restricted hours. So if the concern is having someone, we don't want them to be able to access the stove during certain hours, maybe when they're alone or overnight, then we can have it restricted during that time. Or we can have the stove completely locked so that only caregivers or maybe family are coming in and preparing meals, but the client themselves won't be able to inadvertently perhaps risk their safety by getting around the stove. So it really does allow the client to stay in their own home. It's a device that's unobtrusive. They really don't have to do anything with it because it does turn on when the stove turns on. And this is one that we've had a lot of really great feedback on. Again, when I'm out talking with groups of folks, it's not just seniors who think that this device is a great idea. I think we're all busy and all can get distracted when we're trying to multitask. So again, doesn't have to be just for seniors. I'm surprised that a system like this hasn't been built into stoves. So maybe that's something that we'll see going forward. We also offer a medication dispenser. What this does is gives the right dose at the right time. It can hold up to 24 doses and alarms when it's time to take medication. So we can have up to 4 doses per day that will alarm and give the client the medications that they need at that time. And just a little case study, we did have a mental health client who was on 4 doses of medication per day, with those meds being administered daily 4 times a day by VON. So as you can imagine, each visit costing, a fair bit, and then timesing that by 4 a day, 7 days a week. So VON, looking at different options, we switched the client to our medication dispenser. They were able to cut their visits back from 28 visits to 1 per week. Okay, so on that side, the cost savings and the saving of resources, especially now when we're already pressed for resources in the community, if we can free them up to really do the things that really need to be done by a person in person, and we can give meds in this way, then it's huge for the organization and human resources. But even better, the client reported that she felt more independent and more in control of things by managing her medications herself. So in both cases, it's a win-win for both the client and the health system, really. Finally, an example of our bed alarm. So unfortunately, this couple has since passed away, but Jerry was a long-standing volunteer with us who was just the most amazing caregiver to his wife, Geneva. So I know that they would be still honored with us using their story as an example. His wife had dementia, and they would sleep in separate rooms. So due to a back problem, Geneva requires very special positioning in her bed. So she would get up multiple times through the night to go to the bathroom. The issue was never concern around wandering. It was more that he had to position her back in bed. So we put the bed alarm in Geneva's bed. And when she would get up through the night to go to the bathroom, Jerry had his cell phone beside his bed. So then that way, when the alarm went off, he was woken up by his phone and he could tend to her to help her get back to bed safely. Some nights this would happen a dozen times. So it meant that, he was definitely getting up and back to bed frequently. However, the bed alarm did allow him to get a much better night's sleep. Otherwise, his options were staying up all night to keep an eye on her, which meant that as a caregiver, he wasn't getting any rest, or having to hire someone to come in and perhaps watch over the situation. So both being costly and an intrusion of privacy, really, when this device was able to offer that at a much reduced cost and far less obtrusive. So Jerry, of course, being Jerry, was above and beyond. So he was able to, by tracking on his iPhone at what time the calls came in, he could see how many calls had come in through the night, as well as the times that those calls came in. And he would keep track of it in a spreadsheet. So the data that the sensor was able to give him they could compare with when Geneva's medications were changed, and that allowed for data to take to the doctor to discuss the case further and the medications. So again, discrete and custom fit. Our solutions are easy to install, can be moved or changed, unobtrusive, no contracts, and allows individuals to remain independent. And finally, they are affordable. We rent them on a monthly basis. So what's ahead? We are seeing mobile help buttons. That tends to be the trend at the moment that people are expecting and looking for. So that is something that we are in the works to launch just within the next couple of weeks, actually. So people will be able to take their buttons out away from their home, anywhere in Canada. We're also looking for, again, that GPS tracking for dementia, and looking at how we can implement that smart tech technology, both off the shelf and the proprietary pieces, how we can put those together in packages for people who are living out in the community, so we can assist them to access that as well. So that's where we're going, and I'll open it up and turn it back over to you, Ed.